Hey, Minnesota Vikings fans, welcome to the Purple People podcast. I am Kyle West, accompanied this week by Adam Carlson.
Yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube, it's looking a little different this week. Mr. Smith is out, and he carries all the fancy graphics and everything with him. So we're kicking it back to the Stone Age a little bit here. We got the classic look going on, so don't mind us.
Little bare bones this week, but hey, that's okay. We can do a throwback every now and then, right, Adam?
It's true. I even got the throwback Vikings Entertainment Network coloring behind me, so good stuff.
I dig it. I actually always look at the polo shirts that like Ben Lieber wears, with the Vikings Entertainment logo on them.
Yeah,
Those are pretty cool. I would wear those.
they're not bad.
I would rock one of those.
They're not bad at all.
We're gonna kill a little bit of time here at the beginning, just because hopefully some people will begin to filter in. We didn't really give much of a notice this week. We were planning on recording yesterday. Sometimes life happens. We had to push the show back.
Sometimes forces of nature just keep you from doing it, and then Mr. Smith ran into some other issues and was unable to stay with us, so you just get me and Wes this week, which we're not so bad. I mean, it's like ordering a steak sandwich and just getting the 2 pieces of bread, but it's still bread. We're good bread.
There will be no hot tubs. There will be none of that this week. Cool. Hey, Vikings Jerome says, cool background.
That is a cool background, Wes. Good job.
Mm-hmm.
Dang it, cat.
You have a cat or a small dog with you?
It's just the same thing.
Hey, did you hear that the Vikings missed a field goal, Adam?
And an extra point, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that same kicker made 2 kicks of over 50 yards, so that's pretty good, right?
I'd say so. I feel like before we even get into game balls and donkeys and anything else this week, we have to address the elephant in the room. We have to talk about Greg Joseph, the missed extra point and the missed field goal. This is the A topic. Really quick on my opinion. Obviously, he should have made the extra point and he should have made the field goal. But I, as a Vikings fan, I'm angry. Of course I'm angry. But I am not personally holding Greg Joseph responsible. Like,
No.
we need to fire him, blah, 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 blah. Fire him, Brimstone, let's come down. Like, no, he's our kicker. We need to have confidence in our kicker. Yes, it sucks because we've been here a million times before as Vikings fans, but remember when we got rid of Daniel Carlson?
Oh, yeah.
And he goes to the Raiders. He changes up a couple things with his motion. He probably gets some better coaching, better situation for him. And look how good it's worked out for him. So all that I'm saying, Vikings fans, for Greg Joseph, is we have to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he will be fine and we're going to get through this. That's my opinion. That's my take. Adam?
Well, I don't get a take in that because this is all on the coaching staff. And it appears as though Mike Zimmer agrees with you, though.
Mm-hmm.
Because he issued a statement and he did not lay into the kicker the way he used to in the past after missed kicks. It was a more gentle, apologetic approach, understanding that not every kick's going to go in. And it's kind of refreshing to see the old dog change his spots a little bit.
Some fans on Twitter are calling this the Zen version of Mike Zimmer.
I don't know, because at some point, even at Mike Zimmer, the way he runs things, it kind of has to go through your head. Are they feeding me bad kickers?
We have talked about this, and I am not the first person to bring this theory up, but it seems to be that Minnesota wants to get by with bargain bin kickers and punters and like your core special team players in general. It feels like an area where they think that they can skimp on, like, oh, we're going to spend our money on offense, defense, and then whatever happens with the kicker, we'll be fine with. It's disappointing. It's disappointing that seems to be the mentality.
Well, when you think about it, though, it's weird because just last offseason, all three specialists had deals in place to keep them with the Vikings for the next 3 years. And now the only one that's still there is a long snapper, you know?
Yeah. I personally don't like the constant changing of that unit.
Oh, no, you can't like it one bit.
No, because I really feel that of all the positional groups in the NFL, your three core specialists, your kicker, punter, long snapper, are the three that have to really be in sync and work together as a unit. You get one piece of it, because we've seen this with holders. We've had bad holders in Minnesota that have absolutely...
I still blame Carlson's ejection from Minnesota on bad holding.
I forget who that punter was. That was the one that we got from the Steelers.
Wasn't it Corey Vedvik?
No, wasn't there someone else? I don't even remember because we've been through so many. Was it Vedvik?
I don't know. He got another shot somewhere very recently too, so he's still around the league.
Well, whoever it was had never held before, and so essentially they were putting a rookie kicker in Daniel Carlson with a holder who had never held, and were like, figure it out. Just go figure it out. And then they wonder why he missed.
Yep.
I don't know.
It's quite a mess. We did have some transactions today, though.
Yes.
Sean Mannion's on the 53, guys. All right.
Get your Sean Mannion jerseys ready.
Oh, man. I don't think I could have taken any more underwhelming news than that.
Amir Abdullah got cut. He'll be signed again tomorrow.
Yep, he's back on the practice squad already.
I was reading. So, at what point, Adam, is the NFL just going to increase the roster size?
I don't know. It should be there already. And
especially
Minnesota has to be careful because last year they did this practice squad limbo stuff back and forth with signings, and I believe it ended up costing them a 7th rounder.
Did it really? That's interesting. I didn't know.
So they got to be a little bit more careful on what they're doing with this practice squad stuff, because I'm not sure how within the lines they are, but I know that the rules aren't in place to keep players jumping back and forth just so they can have an extra floating roster space.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, I understand what they're doing. Like, fundamentally, I understand what they're doing, but I just don't get why the league you just give them an extra roster spot, because it's silly to be floating these two back and forth between active roster and practice squad and whatever. Like you said, it's the most underwhelming news imaginable when, like, hey, transactions come up. It's Sean Mannion and Amir Abdullah again. Okay.
But Abdullah, the practice squad, is interesting because the Vikings don't really have the depth at running back they used to have in the past. And where they got now Cook and Madison, and then past that, who knows? The rookie's not ready yet.
No, I am surprised that with the other injuries around the league, that no other team has tried to put a claim in on Abdullah yet. I got a question from Vikings.
Oh, Abdullah cannot be claimed because he's a vested veteran in the NFL and is not subjected to waivers.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's why the Vikings released a veteran instead of a younger player.
Wow, they really are playing loophole with this one.
They are. It's bad.
So what if some other... Okay, he's a veteran. He's on the practice squad. What if some other team legitimately wanted to sign him? They can't do that?
Oh, they can approach him about it.
And then would it be up to, like, Amir Abdullah?
Yeah.
Whether or not he... Okay.
Yeah, he can decline.
I understand. Oh, Rick Spielman is being real coy with this one, isn't he?
Yeah, they're doing the dangerous dance again.
Yeah. Okay. Kellen Mond, not dressed player on Sunday. Correct. He has been inactive.
Yeah, and I've been reading some people on Twitter who aren't exactly thrilled with the results they've seen from the 2021 draft class so far. And I know it's only been 2 weeks in the NFL, but I mean, you can't get too upset because once Darrisaw and Keeney, once they return, I think you'll get a lot better view of what this class is. Because, I mean, you got your left tackle and you got a running back that both a lot of the team are very high on that haven't even taken a snap yet. And you got a future quarterback they're developing that we haven't even seen in action yet, really. Right. So, I mean, to call this draft class a bust this early is a bit absurd, but I mean...
Remember what happened to, we used to say you have to wait 3 years to fully evaluate a draft class.
Right.
It went from, well, you got to wait about 3 years to evaluate these guys to, hey, it's been 2 weeks. What a bust this class is. Like, hold on here. Like, I'm disappointed. I want to see Darrisaw out on the field for Minnesota too. But
and I know Rashawn Slater's looking real good. Rashawn Slater's looking great. Yeah. Sewell there for Detroit. He's been playing some good games. And everybody's seeing these young blockers doing real well. And Rashad Hill, bless his heart, he's trying over there at left tackle. But again, that's not where he was designed to start. That's not the way this is supposed to be. So hopefully when things can be back to a little bit of normal and the healthy players can take the field, things will be a little bit better. But for now, I mean, what can you really do?
Let's focus on some of the positives from the Arizona game, because we know that a lot of the other podcasts that I listen to, like the Vikings Vent Line, whatever, everyone's real down on this team right now. And I don't want to be one of the, well, you know, we're 0-2, but we're a really good 0-2 team. Like, I don't want to be like that kind of homer here. But I do think that there are some positive takeaways from that game against the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, let's talk about Nick Vigil for a second.
Yeah, thank you. He's my game ball.
He came out, and I don't think expectations were that high for him. He was expected to compete for that third linebacker spot, and a lot of people weren't sure whether or not he'd be able to even really run with it. Then we got the injury to Barr that's been keeping him off the field, and Vigil's been forced into these starting roles, and with him and Kendricks, and then a lot of nickel defense. And so far, I would say that the Vikings haven't missed too much with Barr being out, because Vigil's been doing quite a job in his place.
He really has, and I think that they clearly must have trusted him, because he continued, you know, Anthony Barr is the defensive player that has the dot on his helmet.
Yeah.
He's got the headset, so he communicates with the defense. Probably Mike Zimmer, probably the one he's communicating with. Vigil kept that. And I kind of thought that maybe they would have moved it to another veteran on the team, maybe Eric Kendricks or whatever, but they did not. So clearly they have faith in Nick Vigil to be able to step in and play. And I think that he did really well. Like I said, he was my game ball for the game with the Arizona game.
A couple other players had really good games, but made only like one mistake throughout the whole thing. And I know Xavier Woods had one bigger mistake that did result in a touchdown, but otherwise throughout the game, he played really well in coverage, did well instinctively. I was pretty happy with what he did.
KJ Osborne is another name I think that you can point to for another bright spot coming out of the game. 5 receptions for 91 yards, a touchdown. We've been looking for that emergent wide receiver number 3. Pleasantly surprised that it was KJ Osborne. I like that.
Yeah, he's leading the Vikings in receiving yards right now. He led in this game in receiving yards for the team as well. And right now, he is really picking up a lot of slack for a team that can't get it done. Adam Thielen was targeted 7 times, had 39 yards. I know he had a touchdown because that's what Kirk Cousins does. When he's in the red zone, he looks to Adam Thielen, he throws a touchdown.
Right.
But the yardage, the production, moving the chains, that's not really happening as much right now with Adam Thielen in particular. Justin Jefferson got his catches. I mean, 6 for 65, but still, I think expectations were a little bit more for both these guys coming in. That'd be more of a high-powered offense. And when you look and you see Kirk Cousins, he only threw for 244, and 91 of those were to KJ Osborne?
Yeah, right
really?
on. Yeah. An excellent comment from Rod. Good to see Daniil Hunter out there on the field for the Vikings.
Yeah, hat trick of sacks for Daniil Hunter.
Getting after Kyler Murray's no easy task either.
And I know a lot of this game, Kyler Murray was elusive and he made things very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at it from another way, Murray only really had to run 5 times. So containing him when he was breaking out from the pocket and when he was trying to break loose and pick up yards with his feet didn't happen as often as I think a lot of experts and Vikings fans thought would with this defense and how aggressive they are. Now, Murray did pick up a lot of time in the pocket moving around, and that's why he was able to have 400 yards passing against Minnesota, including some pretty absolutely wild passes that I mean you don't really think of when you think of Kyler Murray, but Murray also was forced into making 2 mistakes, so it wasn't like Minnesota wasn't getting pressure.
Yeah, they were able to make pressure. And I don't want to make excuses for the defense here, but Kyler Murray is a special kind of talent back there at quarterback. There's not a lot of players that are able to do what he does in the pocket because he runs differently from like a Lamar Jackson. Okay.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson is more in your Michael Vick style of quarterback of where he's going to tuck and run and he's going to be able to make a lot of yardage with that. Murray is definitely more of your Russell Wilson style quarterback where he can make plays to extend time in the pocket because he's looking for that deep pass down the field. That's what makes him so difficult to defend against.
And when we're talking about positives, I still want to talk about Jordan Berry. He's still got that big leg for a punter, and I was not a big fan of swapping out a punter holder that close to the start of the season. But I when they said he's got a bigger leg, and now I'm seeing some of these punts, I'm like, okay, I see it now.
Yeah, let's just let's keep him. let's not do this thing where a week before regular season next year where we see this other punter on this other team, let's get some consistency in that group. We think we found a punter, let's make this dude our punter for the next.
Do you have Mr. Smith's game ball and donkey?
Give me a minute and I can pull it up here in the group chat. Who did you have for the your game ball, Adam?
I had not yet decided.
Oh.
That's why I was trying to bring up you guys's. See, that's the way I was going to work with it.
His game ball went to Daniil Hunter, which is a good choice.
Okay. All right.
I went with Nick Vigil for my game ball.
Not bad. Not bad. I guess I'll give mine to KJ Osborne, then that way we spread it all around.
Yeah.
I do like that. And he gave his donkey to Linval Joseph, right?
Yes.
That much I remember.
I'm gonna pick on Brashad Breeland. That was my donkey for the week. He's absolutely looked awful in coverage for the Minnesota Vikings. What was the stat that I posted in the chat?
99th.
99th.
Top 100.
He ranks dead last in the NFL. Boy, Mike Zimmer, I don't mean to just poop all over his parade here, because I do think he's a good defensive coach. He has a way of bringing in corners and finding ways to just make them look terrible if they don't immediately
I
fit
mean,
his system.
Breland was never really fantastic. He really wasn't. I was kind of surprised Minnesota signed him and that they kind of likened him into being a starter immediately. But yeah, I mean, expectations have to be higher for him.
I
And
guess
I'm going to go with my donkey as being a player that I had high expectations for coming out of the season. And I have seen absolutely nothing from him so far. And that's Delvin Tomlinson.
Mm-hmm.
He was supposed to be there to clog up the middle of that line and not let people run through. And he was supposed to be able to get to the quarterback and at least generate pressure up front to make the quarterbacks have to go out towards the defensive ends. And so far, none of that has happened.
Yeah, we were expecting him to kind of be that Linval Joseph 2.0 for the Vikings, and you're right, he has not shown up so far. Of course, we know getting after Kyler Murray is no easy task, but we haven't really gotten much pressure from him.
No, in the first 2 weeks, he's been so disappointing. And I got to say, Russell Wilson's going to be even tougher because he's just as elusive, I'd say, as Kyler Murray. He's a smart quarterback.
He's just as elusive, and he's been doing it longer, so he's got that savvy veteran mentality, too, that makes him extra hard to defend. So, yeah, they're really going to have to play another near-perfect game defensively for the Vikings to have a shot against Seattle Seahawks.
Now, while we're talking about positives, let's talk about two other really good positives coming out of this game. Number one, the penalties were cleaned up in a huge way. Week one, that was so brutal watching all those yellow flags flying against Minnesota. Week
112?
Barely any in week 2.
Yeah.
And it was so much better to see. The other thing that we saw in week 2 that was better was that offensive line. We saw a lot of players that Cleveland had one of the better games of his career.
Mm-hmm. I wanted
to
mention the offensive line too, because I think that's the area where you can point to the largest improvement from week 1 to week 2. That week 1, they really looked like they were still in preseason mode.
Oh, yeah.
That was a terrible performance just from the Vikings in general.
Dalvin Cook was getting no push. This week, we saw some of those Vikings linemen that were just playing angry. Yeah. They were shoving people down the field.
They responded to whatever they were told in meetings, whatever criticism was thrown their way. I thought that they did a good job responding to that, because you're right. Dalvin Cook was absolutely gashing the Arizona Cardinals anytime he got the ball. And part of that's because he's a darn good running back, but also they were opening up some big holes for him out there.
It's true. It's absolutely true.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's not like there weren't positives to take away from this team, from this game, because Arizona is a high-powered offense. Minnesota was able to keep pace with them. Now, is it good that they had to keep pace with them? Because the defense should be doing a better job of keeping the points off the board. The coaching staff should be doing a better job of working that clock so that they're not giving up extra points at the end of a half, and they're not putting themselves in situations where they have to decide whether to kick or whether to go for it. And overall, there were a lot of things in this game that made you wonder how this team is 0-2 at this point. I mean, I know it's a 4-point swing. Right now, 4 points is all that stands in the way of Minnesota being 0-2.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a tough pill to swallow, because they were hanging in both of these games to the very, very end.
I know what you mean. There was a stat that I pulled up that someone else had pulled up. Before Dalvin Cook fumbled, the Vikings win percentage in week 1 was something like 84%.
Yeah.
We had an 84% chance of winning that game. And we had like a 90.2% chance of winning the game against the Arizona Cardinals on that last field goal kick attempt. And I know that, man, at the end of the day, you're still 0-2, and 0-2 is not good. But you look at just how friggin' close they were on both of those games, and this one, fuck, if we would have won this game, we would have been sitting here talking about how thrilling of a game that was, how the offense was able to, like you said, they were able to match what the Arizona Cardinals did. We would have been talking about Kirk Cousins having just an excellent performance from Kirk.
We do have to talk about Kirk, though, because so far this season, he's played... I don't think he's had a turnover so far.
I'd have to look that up. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think he's had a fumble. I don't think he's thrown an interception. Now, Kirk's played Seattle 4 times as a Viking. He's had a turnover in each of those games.
Mm-hmm.
So this will be a test for him in some ways, because if he can keep playing mistake-free football, I mean, we just saw the Seahawks get beat by the Titans, who have a pretty similar team to what Minnesota has. It could be an interesting game on Sunday.
I worry that Seattle is going to be coming in with a point to prove, and that's going to make them extra dangerous. However, this is a home game for the first time in forever.
Vikings home opener this season.
A home opener. So we're going to have home field advantage at US Bank Stadium. I really do think that is going to help energize this team, and it's going to give them a good shot to go out there and make a statement. And they really need to make a statement performance against the Seattle Seahawks.
I always hate late home openers. Establishing momentum early in the season is so important. And when you've got to wait those 2 games to get that crowd, that energy on your side, it can take a lot away from your team.
I definitely agree. And, I had brought this up before. I think that players like Justin Jefferson, who came in and, his first rookie season is the pandemic season. So he doesn't get to play with fans. He's never really experienced true home field advantage. So I think when you get him out there and everyone's doing the Skol chant, boom, and he gets to score and do a gritty, I think he'll really feed off that. And that will really help. I don't want to say get him back on track.
I mean, I'm sure LSU had some pretty loud and rowdy fans too, but...
Right. I mean, but like where I was going with that was I don't want to say we need to get him back on track because he's doing fine, but our expectations for him are probably a little loftier than just, 1 touchdown, 65 yards receiving. I think we're expecting him almost every game to go over 100. He's had a couple drops. They're a little uncharacteristic. We're looking for him to make those big catches like that. And I think that getting him in front of some rowdy Vikings fans, maybe this will kickstart Justin Jefferson as well.
That would be pretty nice to see.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as far as the game against the Cardinals, it was a 1-point loss. I don't see us we don't need to take a lot of time to talk about that game. I think we all watched it. We did see Dalvin Cook tear up 131 yards on the ground, which again, we can contribute some of that, some awesome play on the offensive line, some of it to Dalvin Cook. But while we're talking about Cook, he did take some pretty big hits in that game. He did get shaken up a few times. I have not yet seen any kind of update on his status so far. So right now, I'm assuming everything is good, but I wouldn't be surprised if during practices he's been getting a little bit extra rest and they're taking things a little bit easy with him heading into this week's game, because Minnesota will need him to be as ready as possible if they want a chance of beating Seattle.
He looked banged up and injured on that last drive for the Vikings. I know they were probably trying to use him more as the old decoy. Oh, you gotta
Yeah.
have Cook on the field. But man, that was one of the points where I think you could question some of the decision making. Excuse me. I think you could question some of the decision making of Mike Zimmer for like not putting in a healthy Mackenzie Alexander in that
Right.
situation, giving him the opportunity. You can definitely question that squib kick. I didn't.
I'll question the squib.
Yeah,
That
I
I
don't
will.
know. I don't know why in 2021 literally any team is squib kicking the football.
In some situations, it's a smart move. There was too much time on the clock for a squib there, especially when the other
Okay,
team has a timeout.
okay, yeah, let's talk about that. The right situation for a squib kick, Adam, would be 2 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah.
We're squib kicking it. You have to catch it. We're running the game out at that point. Not
Right.
with that much. Not with that much. I don't understand what the thought process was going into that. When you got your kicker who can boom it out of the back of the end, like any other team, you kick it and you boom it out of the back of the end zone.
Right.
Or worst case scenario, they catch it and they try to run it 7 yards deep, and you hope that your special teams, and we actually have some guys who can play on special teams now, are able to step up, make a big play. Who knows? Maybe you can even knock the ball loose. Maybe
Yeah.
you can flip the field on that one. I hated that squib kick at that point.
Yeah,
There was
didn't
also
understand that one.
there was a point earlier in the game too, where what was it? Fourth and one? I think there was a 4th and 1 opportunity where I really felt like they should have went for it as well too, considering how much of a push and how well Dalvin Cook was playing at that point. I think that you could have made a case to go for it there, just like you should have made a case to at some point have gone for a 2-point conversion instead of. Of course, it's easier for us to sit here on a Tuesday.
I'm never a
drinking
fan of
water.
the 2-point conversions early in the game. I'm not. I'm too
I
conservative like that.
I hate to say it, but every single one of us knew when we missed that extra point. Oh, this is going to cost us the game. Every single Vikings fan knew immediately, like, oh, this will cost us this football game. So how do the I'm half joking, but how do the coaches not know that also and not fucking go for a 2-point conversion to make up for it?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just odd.
That's the frustrating life of a Vikings fan, I guess.
I actually saw that there is a statistical like anomaly with kickers in Minnesota as far as how things fall for kickers when they play the Vikings. Like opposing kickers actually have a positive differential against us compared to the league average, and Minnesota's is just so negative that they're 32nd in the league. It's like, what?
I seen that graphic that you were talking about, and I was going to bring it up, but I'm not quite smart enough to 100% break down all the numbers that they had on it. It's interesting, like you said, that it seems like the kickers that we play against get a stat boost.
Right.
Like if this was a World of Warcraft video game, like they get a stat boost, and Vikings kickers get like a negative stat penalty.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
It's so confusing.
What's crazy to listen to is I listened to the entire Vikings vent line after that loss.
And everybody wants Zimmer fired?
Well, everyone wants Zimmer fired. But every Vikings fan, we all know it doesn't matter. The crazy thing is that it doesn't matter who the kicker is. We've been through multiple kickers, but we all know they're going to miss in a big situation. That's just how we're conditioned. we're conditioned. If Kyle Smith was on here, he would tell the story about how he was at the bar and he turned his back towards the game and was like, they're going to miss. And everyone was like, no. And he's like, they're going to miss. And then sure as shit, our kicker missed. And he's like, yeah, I told you they were going to miss. It's just like you can just count on it.
I was watching with my nephew, and he was all excited because he thought the Vikings were going to win. I'm sitting on the couch, I'm just looking at the TV like, I'm not so confident yet.
I don't know.
I until I see it go in, I'm not cheering it yet.
We could trade Justin Jefferson for Justin Tucker.
And then Justin Tucker would be out of the league in a year and a half.
A year and a half? More like within 4 weeks. Like he would just be absolutely ruined.
Oh, I was giving him Dan Bailey time.
But like,
give him time to descend into darkness.
That's what would happen, though.
Oh, so brutal, though. So brutal.
It's frustrating.
Well, we talked a little bit about it's another later afternoon game for the Vikings. They won't be playing the early game on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of missed that, but you know, I guess what can you do? So I get to watch the Vikings game and then the WWE pay-per-view afterwards. That'll be fun.
Fun?
Yeah, I get to watch some people body slam people. Then I get to watch some pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Not too bad. Not too bad. Otherwise, I don't really have too much more to talk about. I don't think we have a whole lot of news to break down.
No, not much going on in terms of Vikings news. Nothing substantial that I've seen anyway.
I don't think we had a whole lot of questions over in chat. We did have someone talking about DJ Wanham, and he's been kind of quiet lately, and I'd like to see a little bit more from him because he has had those flashes in the past that made you think that he could be a contributor on a regular basis for this team, right. But so far, nothing yet, really.
Broad picture, I still don't know how I feel about the 2021 version of the Minnesota Vikings. It's easy to talk yourself into doom and gloom and go, wow, the wheels are going to fall off the ship. We're headed in that direction. It's also easy to go, well, like you said, Adam, it was only a 4-point differential?
Yeah.
That we lost each point by. It's also easy to say they can claw themselves up to 3-3 by the bye week. And if you're 3-3 at the bye, especially the way this division's looking, you're right in the thick of things. So I don't know. I still don't know what to take it. I don't know what the identity of this team is on offense or defense. And I think it's important to remember that it's only been 2 weeks. So I think that, to quote Aaron Rodgers a little bit, we should all just relax.
That's old Aaron Rodgers. I don't think the new Aaron Rodgers, I don't think he knows how to relax.
We should do what the old Aaron Rodgers said. Just relax a little bit. And let's just see what happens.
Yeah, I think we're going to call it here. Call it a little bit early on the podcast. And it was nice to talk about the Vikings game. It was nice to think about what's going to go on. But, yeah, we'll be back next week. We'll be talking about the game against the Seahawks. And it will hopefully be a little bit brighter. Even if Minnesota ends up, I think right now they are 2-point underdogs to Seattle, despite being the home team. So that's a little rough, but Seattle did suffer that, I believe it was an overtime loss to the Titans. It was overtime, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and that was one heck of a game. I got to see the end of that one, and that was, wow, a fun one. But yeah, please go check out my work over on the Viking Age. Mm-hmm. Check out my work over on Undead Walking. Head on over to my Twitch page MN Viking Zombie. You can hit me up there on Instagram and Twitter with the same MN Viking Zombie stuff. You can check out Mr. West's art. We have a link at the top of our Facebook page. You can click there. You can go buy some pretty cool merchandise, whether it's Purple People Podcast branded or from some of his great photography that he's worked on. And I believe you still have some digital art on there too, right?
Not at the moment, because
No?
the website that I host on is a little more strict with copyright.
Gotcha.
And so some of that stuff gets pretty close to like
Yeah.
I actually had some photos of like Adrian Peterson that these are my photos I took of Adrian Peterson, but I'm not allowed to sell them because they have the Minnesota Vikings copyrighted logo.
Oh.
So these guys are a little more.
Gotcha.
But that's a good thing, because I am confident on the old website I was using that my stuff was getting stolen by like Chinese resale people.
Oh, probably.
Who would like, wow, we're just going to take your stuff and we're going to sell it and whatever. That's here nor there.
But yeah, I apologize to the people that would have been having our conversations on Discord. I haven't been able to join us. I've been watching the games with my nephew and some friends, and honestly, I do apologize that I haven't been there, but my nephew's trying to get into football, and I want to be there to help him with that. And
how old is he?
He's actually 18 now.
Oh, cool.
And he's just finally starting to, he's still living at home. He's doing college through the mail and, not over the internet, you know. And honestly, I just like to be able to get him out of the house every once in a while. And he said he wanted to come over and watch football week 1. So we're kind of making that a little bit of a tradition. He'll come over, he'll do some homework, and we'll watch some football. It's good times. It's good times. And hopefully we can get a new, at least football fan. I mean, I'm not going to force him to be a Vikings fan or anything. He can like whoever he wants to like. I'm not going to put that on him.
After
if
that
he
game,
wants to accept that pain, he can accept it himself.
Yeah. After that game, I don't
forcing it.
I don't know if I'd force that pain on him either.
No. But for the rest of you that have been enduring that pain for several years, I do want to thank you for tuning in and giving us a listen. I really do appreciate it. Every day there's more and more and more Vikings podcasts popping up all over the place. I know that competition has just been getting absolutely insane for the listening space. And honestly, I'm surprised every week that a lot of you guys come back and join in the conversation and have fun with us. So thank you so much. And remember, if you can like, share, subscribe, comment, do all that fun stuff, it really does mean a lot to us. So thank you. And please, if you're in the Survival League, make sure to get your picks in. I want to keep beating you guys every week. Week 3, I got no strikes. How many you got? It better be 0. Otherwise, you ain't keeping pace with me. All right. On behalf of Mr. West and Mr. Smith, who couldn't be here with us this week, I do want to thank everyone once again and remind you to stay classy, Minnesota.